Shalom. Were we originally meat eaters? This is a question I actually got from someone that sent me an email. And here's the scripture that they gave me. And it's really interesting too. I want to share this with you. But anyway, this is going to go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 and 30. Okay? And this is what it says. Okay. It says, and Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. So not only do you read here in the scriptures that when Yah created man, he actually gave him vegetation to eat. And this was actually his meat. And even for the animals, the beasts of the field, and for the fowl of the air, they were to eat meat. I mean, not meat, vegetation. And that's kind of interesting because I do believe that originally when Yah created man, that this was his position. When he was in the garden, they were to be vegetarians, basically. Even the animals are vegetarians. And I think that when man was, once he had sinned, Adam and Eve had sinned, they were pretty much put out of the garden. And after that, notice then meat eating came about after that. And I'm not sure what could have caused it. I've heard some commentaries where they would say that it was the sin that caused people to eat meat. I don't agree with that because, there's other scriptures. If it was sin, then why would the Most High later on tell us that, okay, then you can eat meat, but only eat the clean meat? So I want to go to those scriptures real quick because even though we were created that way, because of the way things happen, that's why I did do a teaching on the dispensations, the 7 dispensations, because there are changes that were made, and when these changes were made, then things had to there was almost like there were rules written according to these changes that were made. Okay, notice we don't have the law in this time. They didn't have the law. They wasn't subject to the law. But enough changes happened over the years to where eventually Yah said, okay, I'm going to give them the law. Now, part of the law is this, what I want to read to you here. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 11. And you'll see here, Leviticus chapter 11. And we're going to start at Leviticus chapter 11, 1 through 2. And this is what it says. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among the beasts that are on the earth. So now he's telling them, and this is Yah speaking. Yahuwah is saying, okay, you can eat meat, but only eat of these particular beasts. Okay? These are the clean animals that it mentions in this passage here. And he gives you a list of animals, certain types of animals that you could eat from. And notice the animals that you can eat from are animals that eat what? Are they meat eaters? No, these are vegetarian eating animals, pretty much animals that chew the cud. Okay, So it's pretty deep when you look at it like this, you know. Let me take you to one more scripture here. Now, I like to bring this up because there are those that try to preach that eating meat is wicked and we need to get back to the way things were in the scriptures when man was first created. Let me say this to you, okay? I do believe that, because the reason why I believe is there was a video, I wish I had that video, where he showed this guy and his wife. And his wife, she had stopped eating meats back in the 70s. And she started eating raw vegetables. Matter of fact, her diet now consists of nothing but raw vegetables. And when you look at her, she's 70 plus years old, and she barely look a day over 30. Thin, healthy skin, full of energy, walking around, jogging, doing everything like a young person. And her husband continued to eat meat, continued to eat his diet. He was overweight, and he was sitting there with all these pills, these bottles of pills that he had to take on a daily basis for all kind of illnesses that he had. And when I saw that video, I said, wow, I mean, what can you say? Here it is right in your face. It's like, you know, it was right in your face. And so I do agree, I do believe that there's something to going vegetation, becoming a vegetarian, should I say. And there's something to it. And I think that it's more healthy to eat raw vegetation and to actually come away from meat. But I'm not saying that because I think that it's the scripture, or that the scripture commands us to go back to eating that way, because we know the disciples all ate meat, and we know the Messiah ate meat, okay? And we know that Yah told us that we could eat meat, only the clean meat is what he told us we could eat. But I want to share this scripture with you here. This is John chapter 21, and we're going to read verse 4 through 6. Okay. And it says, but when the morning was now come, Yahushua HaMashiach stood on the shore, but his disciples knew not that it was him. Then Yahushua said unto them, children, have ye any meat? And they answered, no. And he said unto them, cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. And they cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw for the multitude of the fishes. So basically, this was after he was resurrected. That's what I find amazing about this scripture, is because he had already been resurrected, and yet he's asking them about meat. I said, wow. Now, if you go further down to verse 10, it says, Yahushua said unto them, bring the fish which ye have now caught. And Simon Peter went up and drew the net to the land full of great fishes, 153. For all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. And Yahushua said unto them, come and dine. So he's like, hey, we got some meat, let's dine. I thought that was pretty interesting. So, you know, I know there's a scripture and also Paul talked about it too, where there were those forbidding to eat meat. And he said, hey, it's blessed if it's a clean meat, right? If it's a clean meat and you bless it, you pray over it, then it's blessed. You know, it's a blessed meat. It's already clean, and then you pray over it. And he said nothing to be refused, pretty much. And so, on that note, I do agree that we were originally created probably not to eat meat, but because circumstances change things, later you see the Most High actually telling us what meats we could eat, and even the Messiah ate meat. Okay? So, I hope I answered the person's question. You know, yes, we were created originally to eat meat, but things change and now we're allowed to eat meat. And I think that it's probably more healthy to not eat meat. You know, a plant-based diet, I'm hearing, is probably better than anything. You know, but we don't want to say that that's the scripture telling us that like it's a sin or anything if you eat meat. It's not a sin. And if you choose to eat meat, I just think that you should, of course, don't be overboard with the eating of meat. I know one time people eat meat 3 times a day, sometimes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They eat meat. When back in these days, I mean, to slaughter an animal and to eat meat, it was like that was a lot of meat and didn't have no refrigeration, so they would have to have a feast of some sort if they slaughtered an animal and they ate meat, or if they caught fishes. But other than that, they couldn't have ate meat every single day. You know, and my guess, just looking at history, they probably eat meat once or twice a week. It wasn't an everyday thing. You understand? So anyway, I hope this explained things a little. And on that note, I'm going to say shalom.